that would be totally impossible. So I kind of thought I would just kind of work and create and kind of show you my process a little bit. I'm creating with this Prima Rosa Rossi Bell, I think. Rosy Bell, I don't know. But anyways, it's a real pretty paper stack. So I'll just kind of give you my process on how I do my minis, and then I'll continue on. I have already did several of the pages. I'm almost done, and I thought I'd do the last couple with you. But anyways, how I always begin doing my minis is, like I've always said before, the only thing I plan is what paper collection I'm using. I go to start and I just decide, okay, I'm going to make this one this size and this whatever, however I feel. And then I cut my chipboard, and this is how I start every mini. And I make my covers first, and I do my hinges and my pages. And so these are the pages that I have in the book. And then once this is done, I put this away, and I then cut the pages to go on top of these, which if you've seen my tutorials, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I cut, like, this is 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. This piece right here, the page where I'm going to glue my pages onto these. So I cut then my cardstock, how many pages I need. I usually do 4, which means I need 8. 1 for the front, 1 for the back. So then I'll cut 8 pieces of this size, which is 6 1/4 by 8 1/4, and I stuff them right here. I put this away, and then I take each piece and make it up as I go. I look at it, I know how it's going to go, and then I decide, oh, okay, so here would be my piece that I had, and then I just add on to it right then and there as I go. I'd say, well, this makes a nice pocket, and I'll do a flip here and a flip here. So believe it or not, I do not plan sometimes I might have like a vision of kind of what I want. Like with this piece right here, this little page, this is just the page. I had seen, what inspired me to do this page was, I've been seeing those, what are they doing, the pocket letters now? Not pocket letters. Are they calling them pocket letters? I don't even know. But they're like they folded the paper down and it's like a letter and they're stuffing it in. Not the ones in the baseball packet sleeves now, but the newer ones out now. And so I thought, oh my gosh, that would be a cute pocket on a page. So I incorporated it into this mini. It's not done yet. It's not embellished, but... So then once I do, and I usually don't do my paper, the decorative paper. I build all my pages first, like this. And then I build them and I put them aside once they're built. And then I go back in, so I have like a process. And then I go back in when I'm all done creating all my pages. Then I take them all and start again and put all the decorative paper on. But some of them have to get the decorative paper on first as I go because I glue, this is a waterfall. So this needs to be glued on top, so I need the paper down first. So that's how I roll. So, and then after all my decorative paper's on, that's when I go back and I embellish each page. And, well, usually I'll glue them in my book, and then I embellish them once they're in the book. And then I do my covers, decorate my covers, the last thing, which is actually the cover and the spine is my favorite part of the whole process. I love decorating the covers. So anyways, I'm going to put these aside. So here I have all my 8 pages that I've been working on. And it doesn't take me long to build a shell. I can build this shell in an hour, not even. I do so many that I have it down pat and, I just choom. I can whip it out. I don't even have to really think too much anymore. And then I just go along and create the pages. Now these I've already done. So all the paper's in them. Oh, and then that's just in there because it was a cutout. And I was just kind of trying to put it on there, but Anyways, then my next process is I go in and lastly, I make all my tags and photo frames. And I do that last after these pages are all glued in the book and stuff. But yeah, so these are some of my pages that I've already put the paper on. So these are done and I put them aside and wait for the next step. And there's that. See the backs? So what I have left to put paper on still, let me get all the ones that are completed. I have those. So all these go over there and they're waiting to be embellished. And I have to put this matte here because my light bounces off this glass. So anyways, I thought I'd just kind of create with you. I put these aside up in the front and we'll go ahead. I was working on this one and then I decided I'd do a video. So my magnet's already in place. We're going to have 2 flip outs here, but I think I want to actually do a triangle on this side too. Like here I had to put the paper already because when I lay the triangle on top, I don't want to, it's easier to do it ahead of time if I know what I'm doing. Sometimes I wing it and I just butt it up and then cover it with lace, but whatever. Alright, so this is the paper that I chose to put on this part, and I already taped it with my score tape. I tape my edges with score tape. I tape every edge. I do use a lot of score tape. I probably go through 2 rolls, which is about $10 for each mini album I make just in score tape. Some people might say it's overkill, it's a waste of money, but to me it's not because, and then I always still glue the center of my pages with this. Because if you don't, and I have seen videos where if people just tape around the edges and put it down, when you're moving that book, you're going to get air pockets, and you can tell if that's not been glued in. So that's just my way of doing it. You could do it how you want. The reason why I tape the edges is because I positively know they're not going to curl up. And I get them right to the edge on all my albums. I know they're not going to curl up, and when you're touching things, they're down. And second of all, I could do it with glue. I choose not to because I think it makes a mess. I glue the center, and then I'm not having glue oozing out and making a mess. And I'm not a neat gluer, so I have to do it that way because nothing bugs me more than glue oozing out of my projects. So that said, that's how I do it and why I do it, and yeah. So I taped that down. Oh, and what I also did on this is because I am working on black, so when you cut your papers, you'll see, like this is a perfect example. You can see the white, and when you're on black, it looks, you can see it. So what I do, I don't do total distressing. I kind of just take my black, you know, Tim Holtz, and I just hit the edge. It gives it a little distressed look, but then when it lays down, you're not seeing the white edging of the paper. So anyways, so I peeled off my score tape, and I'm just going to kind of work and show you as I go. And oh goodness, this bottle's almost empty. Yep, I left a piece of score tape. And this album will be for sale once I complete it. I got my Halloween mini albums, but they're not selling. I thought people were going nuts for Halloween stuff. That's the only reason why I did it, but they're not selling. Maybe they'll sell after Halloween, but that's okay because I plan to do a craft show this year, so I'll have a stash to take with me to a craft show if they don't sell, and I'm sure they'll sell there. But all right, so I glue the center. Don't even have to use that much, you can kind of see. And then I glue this down. I do so many mini albums that I'm pretty good. I know how to hold it where I'm not touching the tape to kind of, I know if I get this and this straight that it's even all the way around, and I really don't have a problem with laying it down and getting it right. And if worse comes to worse, that's why I work my pages out of my book before they're glued in, because if I totally screw something up, this is very easy to throw away and make another one versus ruining the whole book. So that's why I do it that way. And it's easier to work with than fumbling around with a book. So, okay, so there's my big page here. And I was going to leave this as a big photo, but now I'm deciding, see, this is how I roll. This is how I go. So I'm deciding that this is going to be plain. I'm not putting a pocket here. So we're going to have a big picture there. So we are going to make journaling tags or whatever here. So I can show you now how I do the triangle pocket. And what I do, this is how I do it. You might have a different way, but this is how I do it. I measure and I cut. So I know that this paper is 5.5 by, what did I do it? 5 3/4. So I cut another piece of cardstock, exactly that. 5.5 by 5 3/4. And I always save all my scraps. I put them up in front of me. So now I know that that's the same exact size as that square. Is it? Or did I screw it up? No, it is. Okay. That's the same exact size as my square. And I want to cut it in half as a triangle. So this is how you do it. Let me zoom in for you. You're going to take your paper and you're going to lay it in there and you're going to put your corner, and you have to fudge with it to get it right. Let me see. All right. The little groove where your cut line is, you want to put that corner on the top in that groove and then mess with it to get them both in the corner. And then once you got them both in the corner, hold this down and then make your cut. And you have your triangle piece. Now when you're going to cut your decorative paper on this, you're going to do it the same way, because what did we say this was? 5.5 by 5 1/4. So cut your next piece just like you would this, 1/4 of an inch smaller, and still cut the triangle, and you'll get it just right. Alright, so which side do I want it to go? On this side. So that'll look good. So what I want to do is get a piece of paper, and let's see, what do I think will look good over here? Should I make it the same? I think I will. I'm going to make it the same as this one, only use the opposite side. So again, and a lot of times what I do is, because I'll have to measure this 50 dang times, is I write right on my thing 5 3/4 long by 5 1/2, going that way. But then I know that I need to cut, because it's 5 1/2 this way, so I need to cut this at 5 1/4 by 5 1/2, because I want it to border. So we're going to do 5 in. See, normally I would have, what did I do? Yeah, 5 3/4 this way. So I know I do 5 3/4 that my paper, how do I want my paper? Hold on. I'm going to turn it this way because no, I don't want to cut that off. Okay. I need to cut off this little strip because this is the part I want to use. I want that part to show. So I know that I want my paper to be 5 1/2 wide, or this thing is 5 1/2 wide. So I go to the 5 1/2, and I know that I want a border, so I back it up to 1/4 of an inch, which is 5 1/4, and I cut it. So then I know that I got it that way, and then I'm going to flip it the other way, and That is 5 3/4, and I back it up to 5 1/2 because I want the border. So there's that, and then, like I said, I gotta turn my fan on, it's hot. Like I said, I take my black, and you can see the difference. I'll show you. See on the end where it's white, and it's very noticeable on black. So if I just do my edges with this, it makes them black and finishes them off, and it looks good. Then I get my score tape. And I go around every edge. And I do this with all of my mini albums. That is why alright, so I'm going to put it this way. So I know I'm going to put my tape going here and here, because it's going to lay like that. Here and here. So I'm going to put a mark so I don't screw it up. And lay my tape down. And I go right to the edge, and then I can cut it on the corner so I know nothing's coming up. There we go. Now I'm not going to glue here because it's a pocket. And then I glue it down to how I want it. I know that's good. And that's good. So there, now I got another pocket on that page. My magnet's already in here. That'll close, and that'll go on top of that. Now I gotta cut the paper for my triangles. And this is where it gets tricky when you're cutting the design paper to go on there, because you still want to cut your piece. What did we say this was? Need more light. Okay, so we said 5 1/2 by I can't see, guys, and I don't remember. 5 3/4. So I can use a 6 by 6, which I think I'm gonna go ahead and use this plain piece. Where's my trimmer? Put it on the wrong side. So I go ahead and cut this. I'm trimming that off. 5 1/2. 5 3/4. But now I want to cut my triangle. Again, do it the exact same way I showed you. And you want to get those corners nice and straight, so that looks good. Now what I do which you could measure it smaller now, but I don't because I tend to screw it up quicker that way. That's the exact size of the black. I want the rim to go around it. So then what I do is I put it in my trimmer and I just trim off 1/4 inch. Sometimes I could cut my paper smaller and cut my triangle. I don't like to do that because sometimes I might want a bigger border. This is how I do it. So I go 1/4 inch, which is one of these little marks, and I always line my the corner edge there, and I go over and just cut down. And then I flip it, and I'm going to go up to the top now because it was like this. And then I just flip it to cut. What did I do? Okay. So I flip it because now I want to cut that edge. And I go over to 1/4. So I did cut that edge already. I flip it and I want to cut this edge. And I just cut 1/4 of a piece off. And then it'll fit perfectly right in there how I want it. See that? I'll do that again for this side, which I have my scrap so I won't have to. Alright, so now with this leftover piece, I don't want to waste another piece of paper, so my triangle is way bigger than what this is, but it's still a triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in there where I want the cut to be. So I know I want 1/4 inch, so I'm going to put my pencil mark right there. And then I'm going to cut up that line. And I'll lay that. Actually, I'll do it this way for you so you can see. So I line up where my pencil mark is, where I want my cut. And now my triangle should be fitting that piece. And I didn't waste a piece. I got 2 out of 1. Perfect. So that's how that's going to look. And go ahead and ink these edges. I gotta watch the clock because I start work at 3 today. And it's still like I think 11, but I don't usually come up here and craft before I have to do something. I usually do all my crafting at night. But I had to be up here for something else, so I thought, oh, today's a day. Well, I'm off tomorrow, so tomorrow's clean house day. So I thought today I would come up here and work on this, and then I'll come on tonight. Alright, so I got my edges inked, and now this one I will glue because this is just the decorative paper on top of there. The pocket is here. This I don't want as a pocket. So I will glue all my edges of, or tape all my edges of this. I know some people tear their score tape. I don't. I only do it like if it's on the inside because I seriously want it to be cover to cover because, or edge to edge. And you don't have to do it that way, but that's the way I like to do it. I'm anal about it because it gets to the there's no paper gonna come up. Now here's where I'll tear it when it's not on the edge inside. And then I cut off my little corners. So there's the tape all the way around. And when you're first doing it, it's awkward, but you do so many of them and it's just quick. I know it's actually slower on camera because you constantly have to look up, make sure you're in frame. And then I glue the middle. Not too much, just a little. And then I line it up. And I'm barely touching, I'm just eyeballing, like holding it so it's not gonna stick on me. And that looks good. I want my bottom to be really the straightest because I can always put trim if that's not straight, but it looks good. And usually I do put some kind of a trim there, so. That one's down. Let's do this one. I hate working on this mat. My hands are jittery. Haven't eaten, I just had coffee. So I don't know, you guys let me know if you like these watch me craft type of videos and I'll do more of them. If you don't, let me know and I won't. I kind of like to watch people craft. I like to throw videos on my, when I'm up here by myself. Usually I'm Skyping with the girls, so I don't need to, but when I do come up here during the day or by myself, that's when I put YouTube videos on. And I like long ones and ones like this to watch craft because I just have them playing while because really I'm not paying too much attention to the computer. And there we go. So now I got my pockets in. I'll make my tags for that later. And now I have to do these front covers. And so this one I'm going to cut my decorative paper to be 5 1/4. Going that way by, it measures 5, so I want 4 3/4. By 4 3/4 going down. This one I want 5 3/4. Going that way by 5 1/4. Going that way. That's how I do it. So now I will pick 2 papers that I think will coordinate to go on the top. This one I know I can, both of them I can get by with my 6x6. So now I just choose what I want. And then I go through my book. I know I used that already on a couple. That's the only thing I don't like about Prima is they give you beautiful papers. I love the quality of their papers. But they don't, and they give you a lot of, like look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They give you 6 of the same design, which is beautiful. Love it. But I want more designs. So as I said before, on a lot of my pockets and flips, when they're smaller, I use these as the paper because it gives you more designs. So you really got to juggle when you're doing that with their designs. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this because it actually matches that back piece, and it's a smaller version because I used the A4, if you can see there. So that'll kind of replicate that right there. Maybe I'm going to use it on this one. And then I'll put something else because I'm going to want to use this as a more, it's the front page, so I'm going to want to have that more embellished. What's the back of that? That's too plain. This is my least favorite out of this because I just don't, it's pretty, but I don't care for those hanging plants, but I love that part. So, this is how I do it. I just go through and decide. I actually think I'm gonna just use this. Because then I got kind of ideas to embellish this with pretty flowers since it's the first page. And maybe a bird cage. See, that's how I think. Alright, so we're going to put 5 1/4 by 5 3/4. And I know 5 1/4 needs to be my width. So 5 1/4. I'm trying to decide what side of the paper I want. I like that edge, but I'll be able to put that somewhere else. So cut that by, see how quickly I forget, 5 3/4. See, that little strip I'll be able to put somewhere else. So I save all my scraps in a pile, except for that. Throw that out. And just run my ink and score tape. So, okay, I'll tell you a story. Yesterday, I had to take my 12-year-old son. He's been getting really bad ingrown toenails. I know, it's probably gross, but... So I had him at the doctor twice in the past 2 months because they keep getting infected. And so they put him on antibiotic to clear up the infection. And then they won't remove them, or you can't go to the podiatrist until he's off the antibiotics. So the first time it got infected, I kind of just procrastinated like I always do. And then it got infected again, and so then he had to be on the antibiotics again. So anyways, needless to say, I got him in yesterday. They did the removal. And he didn't get the whole thing removed. They just remove each side. Say that's your toenail. They just remove each side, and then they put like some kind of liquid. I know there's a name for it and I don't remember, but that kills the root where the nail grows, and then the skin will grow back around, and then you won't have the ingrown toenails anymore. But anyway, so we did that yesterday for him, and of course when we got home that night, last night, he said the shots hurt because they inject your toe with 5 shots, all in with Novocaine, all around the toe, whatever. So that was the worst part of the pain. And then they bandaged up his toes, and the doctor had said, "Oh, you'll be fine. You know, tomorrow you can take these bandages off, wear Band-Aid. We have to soak it every night for a week or 2." And this and that. Well, you know, of course he was saying, "I'm not going to school tomorrow. I just had surgery." And he didn't want to go to school. And I hate for him to miss, but if I had my toes done like that, I probably wouldn't want to go to work or school. So I was going to let him stay home. But anyways, so then this morning he gets up and he decided, no, he did want to go to school. And I think he just wanted to go to school to show off. Because we had I have boys, and my one son was a big time sports person, sports, wrestling, football, everything. So needless to say, we have a lot of crutches in this house. They're all in the basement from previous sprains and wounds and everything. So we've never gotten rid of them. They're just in the basement. So he's determined this morning that he's going to school with these crutches. I'm like fighting with him. You don't need crutches. So yeah, I'm going to be the laughing stock parent when the teacher comes in. Oh, crutches for your toenail? That's pretty funny. Boys, kids, adolescents. That's what we're heading for now. All right, so 5 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm half expecting, it's like 11 o'clock now. I've been half expecting that I'm going to get a call from the school to say that he doesn't feel good and he wants to be picked up after he does his I had surgery show. But haven't yet, so that's good. Now he did wake up at he didn't even flinch one time when they were doing the injections. I was watching his face. I mean, if that was me, I'd have been gripping the handles on that chair. He didn't even flinch his eyes. He just laid there with, I don't know. But anyways, I don't know what I was going to say. I forgot. See how quick my mind leaves me? But anyways, our foot problems hopefully will be solved now. And what is today? Today's Wednesday. So he's got still 2 more days of school left. Oh, I know what I was saying. He did wake up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And said his toes were throbbing. And so I gave him Advil. And then I thought for sure then, okay, now he can stay home. But then he changed his mind. I went to shut his alarm off and, no, I want to go to school. Like, okay. Whatever. I don't know, I just envision him hobbling around in school with the crutches. My husband's the one that gave in and told him, oh, just let him do it. Because I was like, you're not taking crutches to school. I need them, Mom. Okay. Whatever. Alright, there's that. So, we got this page done. And then, like I said, I put this aside. And I make whatever tags and pockets later. Now I'll move on to the next page. So I toss that aside and I gotta do this one. Now this one I laid my paper down already because I put a belly band on, and then I wanted to do this. I glued up so you could put a picture on top of this belly band. But now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to do one of my die cut frames and stick on top of there. So I still might do that. But let's measure this out and cover it with decorative paper. And then I didn't do a magnet here because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I don't think I want a magnet on this because this is how you got to plan out. Because I'm going to have photo mats under here and it's going to be way too thick that my magnet won't be as strong. So therefore I'm going to make a brad on that, and let me think of what I want to use to do it. I'm going to put a brad, and I think I'm just going to cut a little strip of paper, to be quite honest with you. And I think I'm going to do it out of the tags, and Now for this, when I do my hinges, like these, when I make these paper hinges, I usually use 110 pound cardstock because they get a lot of use. Depending on what paper collection I'm using for my flips, it varies from album to album. Sometimes I will use 110 for these. It depends on what papers I'm using. If I'm using a good quality paper, as in Prima, which is very thick, Graphic 45 is this is very thick. So when you're butting this on the 60 and putting that on top and on the back, and you add photos, it's more than enough sturdy. If I'm using like a thinner paper collection, as in like Paper Studios and stuff, that I know I'm not going to have a lot of security going on there, that's when I use the 110 pound cardstock. Once you build this page, it is sturdy enough, and you're having photos on there, remember. It's going to get thicker and thicker and thicker. So yeah, 110 pound is not sufficient enough. This, in my book here, depending on how big I want my pages, for this particular one is 110 pound cardstock. But the reason I did that is I'm not going to have any insides, and I wanted it thicker because these will glue on to there. Now if I'm making real big and bulkies, then you don't need it because you're gluing page to page to page pictures, and it gets thick. It's thick enough. Does that make sense? Okay, so it all depends on what I'm doing and how I see fit. So, but these hinges, I usually always use my thicker 110 pound cardstock because, you know, it's not going to have a photo on it. It's just having decorations and embellishments. So therefore, that's why. My waterfall pages, I would never use 110 pound cardstock. I would use the 60 because these things get thick. And you're putting, and usually I don't even, if I have a ton of paper that I really want to use, and it just depends on the bulk of the album, how many embellishments and stuff like that. A lot of times I don't put the paper back here, and sometimes I do. It just depends on how much paper I have with the collection, how big I want it to get stacked, because when you're putting the paper and then you get photos and these are all layered, it gets very thick and sturdy. So that's reasoning for that. Okay? Alright, so this, where was I? I wanted to do this page. And like I said, I'm going to need to put I want to do a brad. So this is when I have to do it because I'm going to have to poke my hole, and it'll be on the back. You won't see it, and then it'll swivel. So that will open up that way. But I want to make it myself. That's what I was doing. So let me choose a little thing that I thought that I'm going to cut this. Could I make it? That's a possibility. I could do the happy. In fact, I think I might. Let me still look through more. See how many different designs they give you on these things? Now that would have been a cool paper to have in the collection. Prima. All these designs, you get so many different designs. Why is that paper more of your choices too? Oh, I love that wood. Alright, I think I'm gonna do something with this happy. And let me I have a piece of 110 pound scrap right here. So first let me cut this out. And I'm just cutting it right on the edge of whatever sign that is. There. There. Alright, so I kind of cut that out like that. And then I should frame it. So what I'm gonna do is glue this on. And then I'm gonna cut around it once it's on there. And I am taping the edges because you're gonna manhandle it. And I'm going to stick the, yowza. Stick this on, get some ink on my edges. I'm going to line up the corner ever so slightly and then I'll just cut it. Like that. And then I know to leave a little border there. And a little border there. And there you have it. Look how cute. So now, I'm still not even sure if I'm going to like this, which I should have rounded the corners. And that's not going to work because it's too big. Because you won't be able to turn it, because this is going to be in your book. I could turn it this way. Alright, you know what I gotta do? I gotta trim this more. So we're not gonna have a black, we're not gonna be able to have the black edge around it, because I need to make it smaller. It's really thick. Okay, it's probably just ruined my blade. Alright, that looks like garbage now. that's the way we got to do it. But instead, so we don't have a black border going around it now, and it is still sturdy because I backed it on that paper. I'm going to stick a brad in there. I could round these corners. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it like this with this punch and just round these corners like that. I like that. See, I told you I don't plan anything. I do it as I go. That looks cute now. Now I will ink my edges really good because I don't have a black border. I like that. So there, that's going to be our closure for that. And now I need to find a decorative brad, and I'll be right back. Go dig through my stash. Alright, so I went through my little stash, and I came up with, because I don't have the decorative pieces for this collection. That's fine, I use my own. So I come across these two, which bring out the green in these leaves. And they're the, whoa! And I got two sizes to choose from. And I think I just want the little one. I think that's plenty. So now what I do is I take my handy dandy little poker tool or poker mat, and I place that on there, and I have to see where I want that in the middle. And I know when I turn it, so I need to go up a little more, because when I turn it I want it to be able to stay on my page and let that open. So that's right about where that needs to be. I want to make it straight. It needs to go down so it looks center. That's good. So right there I'm using that stripe as a line. And now I want to take my poker tool and I want to poke a hole right where I'm going to want my brad, right in the middle, right in the middle of that. And I'm going through both things, and I'm going to, ow, dig that. Now, sometimes you can't fit this through that hole you created, and then you got to use a hole punch. But no, we did it. And we did that. So there you go. It went through both sides, and then I flip it over. And now I have to separate these prongs. I don't glue it. It's not going to move. This is going to be glued down, and I want it to be able to spin. But what you can do, you don't even need to. You could put a piece of tape over it, but it ain't going anywhere. Ain't. So there we go. I made my own little swivel tab. Don't need a magnet. That opens up, and that will go back over that, and it says happy. Look how cute. Now I'll put decorative paper on top of that. Let's choose. Did I measure this? So see, I don't know anything. I just do as I go. So this one's going to be 6 1/4. Going that way by 4 1/2. Going down. Do I want that busyness? That's too busy. That's too busy on there. I could stick with these stripes. Or should I use the stone wall? Oh, decisions, decisions. I could use this pink stone. I actually think I like that. Or the blacks. I kind of like that. I do like that. I like that. Alright, that's the one we are using. So now I'm going to cut this at, which I know I need 2 pieces, so I need a piece for this side, and I'll probably just use the other side of this for over there. So we need, now again, I measured what the cardstock was, which was 6, no, I didn't, I did it right. Okay. The cardstock is 6.5. Okay, I measured it to what my decorative paper should be. So I want 6 1/4 going this way. Which is right there. Making sure it's super straight. By 4.5. Now I'm going to cut another one. Oh, see, I like that piece for that. That's going to be for this because I wanted those words there on that side. So this, I'm going to cut again at 6 1/4 for my front piece, which that's already by 4.5. Alright, so that will be my front piece there, and then the other one will be the other side for that. Let me get the tape and tape it on. Inking my edges. I'm kind of in the mood to make cards, but not elaborate cards. I'm kind of in the mood to just make colored image and real simple cards. Maybe I will after this mini book do that couple cards and then get back to Christmas minis. Alright, so this one's going to go on this inside. Yep, make sure you're taping the right edges if you're taping. I only cut my tape with these scissors. I have like 3 different scissors. I have my fabric scissors, which only cuts fabric. And then I have these scissors if I need, you know, big paper scissors. And these are my cut through anything that, you know, hard, thick, crap, metal, wire, tape. And I really need a new pair of these because I have like made my tip crooked. So yeah, I can't cut a straight line with them. I love those Tim Holtz scissors, I'll tell you that. Oh, and then I have little trimming scissors. So, got to have all your good tools for crafting. Did I tape both of them? I did not. So The leaves are really at its, next week they'll really be at its peak, but they're really looking pretty out there now. I love fall. It's my favorite season. Although we had, last week we had, where in the night, it was like 50s during the day, and then it dipped in the night down to like 34, which 32 it can snow. So that was really cold for this early. And I actually went to work in the morning and had frost on my windows. But then the very next day, after that, it went up to 78, and then the next day like 82. So yeah, one day you're putting on the furnace, the next day you're kicking back on the air conditioner. That's my front cover. This bubbles, and it's usually when your bottle's empty. And that's because this is a thick glue, and you know, it stays up, and then you're getting that air because your bottle is very empty, so that's what makes the glue come out. It's not a problem. Pick it off, use a wipey and wipe your nozzle, and you'll be fine. It is what it is. No big deal. But yeah, that's when I find that that bubbles and does that, is when my bottle's almost empty, because yeah, this is a thick glue, and you're letting this all, by the time it gets down there and then you use it, well, of course when you're flipping it, it's sucking the air, and it's going to push what's left in the nozzle up and out. It's physics, I guess. And it's the best glue in the world. You will get no buckling on your paper. I couldn't live without that glue. Alright, so there's the front piece. And look how cute that's going to look to go right over. I like it. Now we'll glue the other side. Now look how sturdy my card's getting already. And once I have that piece on, it's nice and sturdy. Once you put pictures on, yeah, you don't want it any thicker. Unless you were using thin paper, then I would thicken that up, but I told you that already. Alright, that goes on this side. And that looks even. I love it. I love that. That looks pretty. Alright, that's it. I'm going to go take a shower, and that's it for today. Maybe I'll be back on tonight, and I'll come back and do some more embellishing with you. And then I'll figure out what I want to do with this. Alright, see you in a little bit.